He is now effectively a dictator. He has granted himself powers dictators grant themselves, the power to take up and intercept the financial bloodline, steal your money, take away your ability to assemble, take away your ability to speak. All of these things are by axiomatically powers dictators grant themselves. So Dictator Trudeau, his edicts have the reason, though. There's a purpose behind his edicts. Dictator Trudeau is not stupid. Dictator Trudeau thinks a lot of you are stupid. There's a difference. This guy's not dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing. I want you to listen very, very closely to his justice minister here when asked a question about Dictator Trudeau granting himself the ability to close off people's bank accounts and steal their money if they are supporters of this freedom convoy. And I want you to pay very close attention to the answer the justice minister gives about Trump supporters. Trump supporters. Is this a political attack? I thought this was countering terrorism or whatever nonsense you're talking about, your Emergencies Act declaration. Listen very closely to this. Check this out.
You just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks say, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
Folks, I can't say this enough. I mean, the whole purpose of yesterday's show was to tell you that the leftist, you scratch a leftist, you get a fascist. That's always been the case. It's never been any different. They're not hiding that anymore. Justice minister's like, hey, listen, if you guys are Trump supporters, yeah, you should be worried. If that sounds to you like the kind of thing you'd hear from a dictator and a dictator's lackeys, then you'd be correct. Get your money out of Canadian banks as soon as you can. Don't wait. Don't pass go. It is now a tyranny. Businesses in Canada are at risk. Your money is at risk. Your property, your money is being confiscated by a dictator and his dictatorial lackeys. Welcome to the new third world. Get your money out of Canada as soon as possible. Why? Because of this next story. This is from CBC. Banks are moving to freeze accounts linked to convoy protests. Here's what you need to know. The piece is long, but talks about this ridiculous emergency act. We should call it the Dictator Act. But this piece, this guy gives up the whole bag of donuts right here, ladies and gents. Mark Bloomberg, this is a quote from the piece. Mark Bloomberg is a lawyer at Bloomberg Siegel LLP who specializes in nonprofit and charity law. In an interview, he said that while the Emergencies Act gives banks time-limited powers, these institutions, quote, may just decide to shut the person's bank account down because there could be, quote, huge risks for banks servicing these customers in the future. The verdict is in, Joe. Mark Bloomberg is absolutely correct. And that was the real purpose of this edict from Dictator Trudeau. Once you move away and become a dictatorship, you don't just walk back. Do you realize that centuries, and at a minimum decades of fidelity to process and law and order was thrown out by Trudeau? What were once the most considered some of the safest banks in the world in Canada, I can't now recommend to you in strong enough terms you pull your money out of. I'm not kidding. This is not a political attack on Trudeau. I have those, and I will make those during the show. This is a statement of fact. Your money is now at risk because Canada has gone full dictatorship. It's not the end of the beginning. It's not the beginning of the end. It's just the beginning of the beginning. Get your money out. I'm not the only one noticing this. My friend, Kyle Becker over at Becker News has a great Substack. You should check it out. And he has a piece up. This is kind of strange, Joe. Canada's major banks, this is from yesterday, are now reported to be all offline after Trudeau's emergency order to freeze the Freedom Convoy's accounts. Get your money out as soon as you can. You are now living in a de facto dictatorship. That is no longer in dispute.